Welcome back to Workshopping Humanity. Brand new year, brand new time, brand new life. I don't know what that means. Anyways,
Mhm.
welcome, guys, to another episode of this that we do once. It's bi-monthly now, so let's try to make it bi-weekly.
Yes.
But we're back. I'm Brett. This is my co-host Jared,
Hello, everyone.
and we decided just kind of to warm back up. We're going to be talking about the Oscar nominations today because those happened a few weeks back, and we have thoughts. We
hmm
have thoughts about some of the things that got nominated, some of the things that got snubbed, and so we're here today just to give you some of our hot takes. Jared, what is the first thing that comes to your mind about the Oscar nominations that made you upset?
100,000% F1 getting into picture. Leading to my hot take that I think I would personally have rather have Wicked for Good than F1, which
Interesting.
I know is a very hot take, but I'm just such a musical theater fan that despite its shortcomings, I would still want to celebrate kind of the artistry of Wicked and Cynthia Erivo's performances, Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande versus Brad Pitt doing coasting through a movie that's making him a bunch of money. Carrie Condon and the other guy that I'm getting his name now, doing their best with one dimensional characters. Um, it's just I understand why it got nominated because the Wicked and Avatar hype just wasn't there this year, and so they have to slot in a blockbuster, and F1 somehow made it.
Yeah, it's interesting
Yeah,
because that is definitely the one that stood out to me. And whenever we watch because we watch nominations together, right? I hadn't
yeah.
seen F1 yet. So it's kind of like, is that cool or not? And then I saw the movie. I was like, oh no, it's not cool. um, I think what's really interesting is before the nominations happened, a lot of us kind of went, well, F1's not going to get in because it's not going to have the passion votes, right? As something like it
Mhm.
was just an accident, which maybe is us overestimating how much passion was actually there for it, was just an accident. Um, but F1 also, it made almost $300 million domestically, right? Like it was huge,
Yeah.
and um was well reviewed. The director, Joseph Kosinski, did Top Gun Maverick, which was a huge Oscar movie when that came out.
Mhm.
The more you think about the pieces that are being put together, the more it does actually feel like, yeah, this is probably okay. I just looked it up. The domestic gross is 189, so I did $100 million more, but still, for an original property, quote unquote, right?
Yeah.
With about racing, that's a pretty solid number. Um, I know. I mean, from I work at a movie theater. I've mentioned this before. It was like selling out every night that we had it, but also that is a Brad Pitt effect because Brad Pitt is from my area, so they always go and see Brad Pitt stuff. So it's hard to gauge that, but people
But
love
like
this thing.
it's perfect dad material to like masculinity and racing, and I will give to kind of balance out the dislike I have for F1. The texts I think were stellar. I saw
Mm.
seeing it in theaters over the summer, and the sound and the camera. What's the best way to put it? The camera movements? I guess the camera operations of being in like you're racing and the camera can swerve back to capture Brad Pitt's reactions and making you feel like you are like on his on his lap, so to speak, racing in the car were really well done. So I'll give props to that team and yeah,
Yeah,
just to balance it out.
well, it is interesting because it's I did get the editing nomination and it got the sound nomination, which it does deserve. Like those scenes are pretty
Mhm.
spectacular. But what's interesting is every time there is a racing scene, it feels like it's being directed by somebody else. Because the scenes where it's just people talking in a room are not well done. um
Yeah.
the editing's about as jumpy as that one notorious Bohemian Rhapsody scene where the band is together. Like there's multiple scenes like that in the movie, which is interesting. And it does seem like it's kind of being made by technical craftsmen who have this down but not this down. It's bizarre. But again, I get that it's like a. I just think that maybe the race car movies are just gonna be a part like in the Academy's wheelhouse because this definitely feels like Ford v Ferrari as well. A movie I
Yeah.
also thought was just okay that got nominated for Best Picture. You know.
And weirdly enough, I actually really like that one because that one was like, you know, Christian Bale and Matt Damon. I felt like there was a lot more like the power of their bond. And I don't know if I just like that more. The F1 just wasn't for me. I need more dimensions on my characters to care about this story and not just feel copy paste like it did. So
Yeah, totally. But you are right. Like the Ford v Ferrari, like those characters are actually well defined. I remember even earlier on in the season, people thought that Christian Bale and or Matt Damon might actually get a nomination.
mhm.
There was no talk for Brad Pitt in this movie getting a nomination because
No.
literally just being cocky Brad Pitt type number three, you know? Like,
Yeah.
so it's really interesting that slid in. But the more and more I thought about it, the more and more I'm like, it kind of makes sense, but it's kind of weird. I think it is a lesson in trying to predict these things that gauging people's tastes, especially in the academy, is not a math equation, you know?
No, it's just who I feel like you just have to be on in LA and kind of gauge the interests and who's going to these screens and who got a standing ovation at this one, whether they liking, you know.
Yeah. Well, and you also have to gauge it this way. If we all agree that number 11 was probably it was just an accident, which I'm guessing that's probably the case. Who
Mhm.
knows? We're just making that up. It could be number 15. You never know.
Yeah.
um, it's Apple versus Neon's third movie. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, Apple is what one of the most profitable companies in the entire world who literally got Coda the best picture. Like
Yeah.
they can run a campaign. We've seen that before. And so for them to like push their one big hit movie of the year versus Neon, who's already busy dealing with two other movies that are obviously having more passion than this other one, it kind of makes sense that they would probably push those other two movies more.
Mhm.
Um, uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that they even got the freaking Lost Bus the visual effects nomination. So I think someone's just in at the Academy that was like, yeah, Apple, make sure your movies get nominated.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know that apparently the Bake Off presentation for the Lost Bus was just like uber impressive, which is also because Apple has money to show off what they're doing with
Yeah.
the yeah. So that's really interesting.
And
Um,
that's so funny because I feel like I wrote in my Letterboxd review, I feel like the effects were not good. There was a shot of a plane trying to like put water over this fire in the forest, right? And it looks like something out of a 90s like Macintosh computer type deal, in my opinion. So I don't know if maybe like the fire, I guess, was extraordinary, which I guess I could see, but I always will remember that plane being like very weird and very
yeah,
obvious. So
but I guess that has better effects than Wicked for Good,
yeah. Hmm.
which I guess we could also talk about that. Wicked for Good goose egging is something that I don't think anyone saw coming.
It's yeah. It's gonna be fascinating for any future generations that get into the Oscars and let's say they focus on this decade, right? They come to 2024, Wicked gets 10 nominations, wins production, wins costumes, and then they're like, oh, there's a part two. Let's see if it bypasses that and lean to getting zero.
Yeah,
I feel like I would be so curious to hear like what's going on. And then I don't even really know. I guess the answer was for some reason the hype wasn't there. Do you think Universal should have, I don't know, either done the epic full runtime, which I feel like in today's climate audiences wouldn't sit through, or should they have released Wicked Part 2 earlier? Either like a late spring, early summer, and maybe that would have like so they could have held the buzz a little more. but that still would have been a fight in award season. I just don't know what they could have done differently, or if it was just part 2 was gonna suck either way.
So this is my speculation. I think it was incredibly smart for them to actually separate them into two movies, because if people disliked the second part so much, they would have just disliked the whole thing, right? If it was
Yeah.
like 4 hours, they'd be like, man, it started off cool, but like I don't know what happened at the end. Um, so for them to separate it out, it's like they have one great movie and one movie that like everyone kind of shrugged at, right? Um, and I will say that like when the first Wiki came out, there was people who were seeing that over and over and over again, right? Like they were just like, this is my thing, this is my obsession. That type of passion was not for Wicked for Good. It just wasn't. Like it had a really big opening, and then you can even see in the box office, it kind of teetered out to, I mean, over $300 million. So it was still uber successful franchise, and it made a ton of money. And most people, like, I think liked it okay. It just didn't have that same enthusiasm.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was a possibility if they put Wicked this year instead of last year, and they put it in this fall, I think maybe it would have done better award season. Just because I kind of wonder if there is an aspect of the Academy that's like, we nominated this last year. Why do we need to nominate it this year? It's the same movie. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, I don't know if that's technically correct, because it feels different to me than like Dune to Dune Part 2, because Dune to Dune Part 2 had very much a specific timeline. Like it came out a few years after, so it felt like a different movie in a way. But even then, like Dune Part 2 was so acclaimed that it got into picture and a few texts, right? But
Yeah.
it did underperform from the first Dune, which I think might be to some guilds going like, we've already done this. It's Part 2. Why do we need to nominate it again for a Part 2?
Correct. Yeah.
And I just think that's fascinating. But the thing about Wicked for Good that I would love to, I know, was it the awards contender, that YouTube page is like making like a whole essay about what happened with Wicked, which I'm fascinated to see
Yeah.
the dissection of that. But it's like a straight up dismissal. It's like being rude at a certain point, because it's like, seriously, like, because I didn't even like Wicked for Good. I didn't like it much at all. But costumes, and you're gonna put in the CGI Avatar costumes over the Wicked.
It does. Yeah.
Original song, you know what I mean? Like it's just, it's weird. It's really weird. Even visual effects, again, they usually go for monkeys. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah. I would even shout out production design too, kind of like the feel of like flowers and yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and I guess you could argue like, well, the production design is similar to the first one. And I'm like, they still built new sets for this one. Like,
Yeah, they had the whole opening and building like the yellow brick road, that whole like opening fight scene too. So it's like, yeah, it takes time and effort.
Yeah. Versus, I guess, Apple's The Lost Bus.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's crazy too. I do want to shout out. There was a Hollywood Reporter roundtable for like actress contenders. I always love to see. Cynthia, of course, was on there, and she was saying that, you know, this was all filmed at the same time, and depending on the days, she would shift to part 1 and part 2, and just having to correct, like, I don't know, your brain as an actor having to be like, okay, I am part 1 Alphaba, slowly learning into my powers, figuring out who I am, and then in the afternoon have to perform for good. I think she even said at the round table they were supposed to shoot something for part 1, but it was raining, so they just had to be like, okay, then we're doing for good today, performing for good, and that's what they had to do. They went inside and they had to get in a headspace of where their characters are at and perform for good. It was just such a, like, I just have to shout her out. I think her and Ariana, of course, having to always like jump around this huge kind of timeline and figure out those characters and have the vocals to perform these songs so well. Shout out to them. I do have to say, Cynthia's No Good Deed is amazing. I really wish it was a better looking scene. I always say it looks like a Xbox video game. Her little like castle when she's singing that. But if there were better visuals, I would not.
Yeah,
I would be insane. I would probably like stood up and clapped in the theater after that. I love that song.
yeah, and she nails it. But like, I always think of the part at the end of that number when she's kind of floating, the monkeys are floating by her, and I'm like, y'all, you could have rendered that a little bit.
Mhm.
You could have rendered that just a little bit more.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Uh,
it's really
yeah.
interesting. My question for you: do you think this will affect Dune Messiah come next year, and it could have a similar fate?
So here's the cool, interesting thing about Dune. The first Dune was came out in like October 2021. The second one was early in like February, March of 2024. This third one is a prime December date, so
Yeah,
like really thick into award season. And it's unless Doomsday is like just talked about more, but we know cinephiles and we know it's gonna be Dune Part 3. I think there's gonna be an urge for people to be like, guys, Dune Part 3, this is like masterwork by Villeneuve, and like Doomsday is just like I could see like, the real cinephiles being like, please don't see like Doomsday, there's actual art here. Like, why are we supporting like slop? In their words, and
yeah,
my prediction, their words. So there might be kind of like a real like, yeah, Villeneuve is playing all the stops. This might be the final part. I'm not the biggest like Dune knows every books kind of guy. Um, but it does have the feeling like everything's leading up to here.
yeah. It's
So,
stated
and I
that
think
it's
with
gonna
that
be.
release date, I
Yeah,
think Dune Messiah will be big. Dune Part 3, yeah.
yeah. It's stated that it'll be Villeneuve's last Dune movie, so it'll definitely feel conclusive. Which is kind of what I mean. We're seeing the same trajectory kind of for this series that we did with Lord of the Rings, and if that is the case, then like I still think the thing could win. It's in a prime December spot. Um, the first one, did really well. The second one underperformed at the Oscars a little bit with nominations, but still got in, just like the Two Towers. Like
Hmm.
it's a similar trajectory, and it is kind of like this generation's huge monumental blockbuster achievement that is has all this money put into it and his heart and his soul put into it.
Hmm.
So, and I also do think them releasing it on the same day as Avengers Doomsday is actually going to help the narrative of like, look at Villeneuve, he's not moving, he's not budging, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's still doing his thing, and that's going to be like the craziest time for movie theaters.
Yeah, shout out to like Warner Brothers too for like not budging. Um,
Yeah, they literally
so
put a doomsday clock on Avengers. They can't even move it now.
yeah,
It's kind
they,
of wild.
it's so crazy, but I guess it's just Warner Brothers. I guess got the IMAX screens first, and so they're like, "Hey, we are not like moving to potentially not show Dune 3 in IMAX." So
Which that's fascinating too, because is that actually going to slightly affect Avengers opening weekend performance? Because like they do rack those IMAX tickets.
yeah,
Or are they going to share the screen? Or are they going to share the IMAX screen with Doom? Is it
I
going to split? Or
I know I have a theater about 45 minutes away from me that's one IMAX screen. They do sometimes like I even think this upcoming weekend they're sharing the IMAX screen with Crime 101 and Wuthering Heights. Like two showtimes for Crime, two showtimes for Wuthering Heights.
yeah,
But I feel like both Avengers and Dune are like gonna be like 3 hour, 3.5 hour movies. So I feel like that would be hard to schedule unless it's just really limited IMAX release. Yeah, I don't know. We'll
why is
see.
Crime 101 getting an IMAX screen?
Talk to Amazon.
What?
Yeah.
That's so confusing. I can't wait for them to lose money on electricity running that thing in an empty theater. That's bonkers. What? All right. At
I
that
hope.
point, just play the moment in IMAX. Like, why not?
Yeah.
Interesting. Um, yeah. What else is there to go over? I know.
So so I do want to shout one of my favorite nominations. I think you'll agree with me is sentimental value getting into editing because
Yes.
I feel like if we know about the Oscars, their editing nominations are like ooh, Bohemian Rhapsody, look at their cuts, 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 and flash, you know. Cinema value is not about that jazz. Not we're we're cutting in between. Like I don't know, the editing is just really well done. It's such a cool nomination. I always love it's in the movie, but also from the trailer, the opening kind of montage talking about how um Renee Ronsva, when she was little, wrote like an essay about does the house feel pain, and there's like a shot of Gustav. I'm gonna say it's Gustav's wife, and they're fighting, and she goes to the door of their bedroom and she slams the door, and as she slams the door, she cuts to the a current in the window kind of flowing the same way as she when she slammed the door when they were arguing. There's these cuts to black that make it seem like it's there's segments that we're watching. We're just popping in and out of these characters' lives. I do wish personally maybe it was like Worst Person in the World and there were like chapter titles, but that's such a niche kind of like just for me dig rather than just a cut
Yeah.
to black that kind of takes you out a little. But still, what a great nomination. I do want to point it out for that movie.
Very smart editing choices. And it is like, if you go to my like awards contender app for my favorites of the year, I did put it as my favorite editing of the year. It is my number one. And that has been the case since I saw the movie itself, because I kept noticing how it was actually affecting the storytelling in general, which is not something that usually happens with editing, And a lot of people say that a good editor is a quiet one. One where you don't necessarily even notice that it's being edited well. This is not that movie. You notice the edits. They're harsh and they're cut, interestingly enough, but like in a way that really propels the story. And I think since a lot of the movie itself is about a filmmaker framing his own life in this story and wanting to cast his daughter to be this character, like the movie's also playing into that subversion. And like, even up to the final scene where at first you don't even know if that is a real segment or if it's a part of the movie until they make that one cut. And I think that was the type of stuff that helped to get that editing nomination, was like, it was a storytelling device, which I don't know if I can say about the other movies. Like, I love the editing of Marty Supreme. It's fast, it's wild, it's insane. It is a masterclass of editing per se, but it doesn't quite dispel the story in the same way, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
yeah, I was looking at what the other nominations were, and it's F1, Marty Supreme, One Battle, and Sinners were the other ones.
oh, interesting. Okay. F1. Okay. Yeah. Again, I guess F1 is the one I would probably replace with something else. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah,
Not that the car scenes weren't amazing, but like everything else was like, not,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But yeah, there's that.
Yeah.
And
What else I really, really like? Hamnet getting nominations. That's my favorite movie of the year, so I have to shout that out.
yeah, we have to mourn Paul Mescal.
Yeah. Except for Paul Mescal should have got a nomination. There's some people stirring up crap online that he's not a good actor, and they're thankful he didn't get a nomination. I'm like, you're just hating a white guy. Like, no.
Yeah,
At this point.
I don't get it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't get how you would. He's like really good in that movie. And
it's. I know that movie's through Jesse Buckley's perspective, but I also felt like it was important to also kind of showcase in that movie that he's also feeling just such a loss of his son.
Yeah.
And that his way is through this art. And part of what I don't want to spoil it, but part of what makes that ending spectacular is kind of like Jesse and Paul kind of having that look and being like, oh, there's a sense of connection there. And he just is processing his grief through this. And her kind of like being open to accept that. That ending is freaking spectacular. Anyway, this is going to turn into a Hamnet podcast soon, but love all that nominations. I love Begonia being the little engine that kept on going and kind of was, I guess, at every party and is there with Spot. Emma Stone got a nomination. Good for Yorgos in that team. His little weird movie guy, and because this isn't a poor thing scenario, I believe. I don't know if you agree with me. Not gonna be that universally beloved. It's just like weird little like freaky movie, and I'm glad I got in.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like it's bizarre to think that now Yorgos Lanthimos is an Academy favorite. Um, but that is where he's at now, which is really interesting to me. Um,
unless he can, unless he does like he did with Kinds of Kindness, and he has to be like, "Sorry, y'all, I have to be like really freaky for a moment. Please bear with me," like he did after Poor Things.
And because here's the thing, when they first announced Begonia, because I knew what the source material was, I was like, yeah, the Academy's not going to touch that with like a 5.5 foot pole. Like that thing's weird, and it's going to be really off putting for audiences.
But
His
then,
direction and Will Tracy's screenplay really grounded that movie. I think in a lot of ways, up until a certain point, it is his most grounded movie, and it is incredibly topical to what's going on right now, in several ways. And so, like, when I saw the movie for the first time, that is the first time where I went, wait, this actually could be an Oscar play. Um, because it wasn't as bizarre as I thought it was going to be, while never actually losing Yorgos' voice whatsoever. It's still trippy and cerebral when it needs to be. But there is actually a screenplay there that is touching upon a lot of stuff, you know?
yeah, because the opening of that movie is, I forget, it feels long. I don't want to say it's like 25 minutes when it's not. I'll say like opening 15, where it's just Jesse Plemons talking to his cousin, like, "Hey, we're gonna do something." There's kind of a montage of these two guys living in this small town, being like, "Okay, we gotta do this, man, because like the world's gonna end pretty soon, and like I love you, man. You're gonna help me, right?" And like there, like you said, there's that kind of grounded feel. I
Yeah.
think the first kind of weird Yearghost thing is the black and white flashback to this to this floating mother, which is like so cool. But yeah, I totally agree with you. There is still like a groundness of like how desperate, as much as like a psychopath Jesse Plemons' character is, um, there is like, man, he should have got a nomination because there's so much like, I don't know, hurt, and there's a childlike, vulnerability, I think, after, let's just say, for spoiler's sake, after he goes to check on his mother and comes back, and there's a confrontation scene that was like really well done. Um, I do remember thinking like the first half of the movie, like, okay, Emma Stone's like okay, and then again, it's after he visits his mother, she kind of like turns on something. I'm like, ooh, Emma, whoa, what are you doing?
Yeah.
um, yeah, and I really do like. I'm a fan of those like movies that are kind of like plays, and so we get some of that too, kind of just dialogue heavy scenes mixed with torture scenes set to Green Day. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's just, again, I think it does show the trajectory that the Oscars are starting to take these tour filmmakers a lot more seriously than they used to. Because like what a movie like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind that came out like 20 years ago would never be able to get nominated for Best Picture. You know what I mean? But they would always be like, "Oh, we'll give it Best Original Screenplay," and that's how we'll shout it out. It's like, all right, thanks, guys. How do you have the best original screenplay of the year? You're not one of the 5 best movies of the year. Make that make sense. But anyway,
yeah,
and so it is cool that now they're finally being like, yeah, these movies also. I mean, what we all know and remember Eternal Sunshine of Spotless Mind more than Finding Neverland
100%.
or whatever. I think that's what it was that year. I forget where Chocolate over Almost Famous or whatever.
That was crazy. That's insane. I'm never gonna forgive those Academy members.
It doesn't make sense. So,
and then I don't think we should be doing an Oscar podcast or an Oscar episode of a podcast without shouting out Sinners and record breaking 16 nominations. even if in 10 years there's another category and another movie gets 17, Sinners still is for the history books, making 16.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, it'll still, like, when we're in our 50s, it's still gonna be on the top of the chart, right? Like, even if
yeah,
something else is above it, it's gonna be like, yeah, remember whenever Sinners did that? Um,
yeah. Ryan Coogler is that guy, is that legend. That
he
yeah,
might be the second most influential director of our era after Christopher Nolan at this point.
yeah. You
Um,
all gotta remember he made a super smart case where I guess the deal he made with Warner Brothers after 25 years, everything about Sinners, the rights goes back to him, which I don't know what, to be honest, I don't know what he can do after that or what that means, but like he
dude,
knows what he's doing, you know?
dude, Sinners the Return, kind of like Twin Peaks.
Eh,
Because I think that's a similar thing that happened with Lynch too when he made that whole sequel series. So
yeah.
you never know. But I think we have to look at the summation of how important Sinners is, not only just because of the context that it's surrounded by, but also like this is a horror movie, Western musical with vampires. And it got nominated for 16 nominations. And it's like, I don't even think 10 years ago that we'd be like, yeah, that could happen. You know what I mean? It
It's
definitely shows the changing taste of the Academy for sure.
I think this is another, I'm surprised not a lot of people said this. I feel like this is another Everything Ever All at Once. Something that's so wholly original and a mix of all these different genres, but still so well done, so like original that the Academy like can't not nominate, you know? I think that's why people are drawn to it in the first place, and that word of mouth is like, wow, you know, what did I just see? Like my energy's on fire, you know? And so
So
great movie, spectacular crew. I'm so happy for Ryan. Let's get his X-Files show off the ground, people. Like he's been talking about it, but there's like no studio set for it. So like let's get on it.
I
He has the
still
chops.
do not think it's impossible for it to win. Um, I think it's a race. I
Oh,
really do.
I'm team it's between Sinners or One Battle because
Yeah.
I'm team One Battle has a like, hey, isn't this like our times, you guys? Like,
Hmm.
doesn't it just feel like, you know, the anger we're feeling from 25 going to 26 kind of feel like, you know, what One Battle is presenting?
Yeah, but I
And
also think what's kind of fascinating about One Battle is the ending of that movie clearly states, well, it very much feels like Paul Thomas Anderson going, "Hey, our generation messed it up. It's up to you guys now to figure it out," right?
yeah,
And I think that passing of the torch is going to be something that really inspires people to vote for that movie. It's going to be like, "You're right. Please change something about what's going on right now," right?
yeah,
Um, it's going to be a tough call, I think. I still think it'll probably be One Battle because, it's PTA's time. It's current to right now. That's going to be an important movie in the context of everything later. But it also does feel like it is the Social Network or the La La Land of the season. You know what I mean? You're
right.
like, yeah, it's killing it right now, and I think it's going to get in. But what happens if they shape a different narrative for a different movie? I think the only other movie that could shape a narrative would be Sinners, and I
Mhm.
think the bummer is either one of those movies could have came out last year and they would have swept the season.
Yeah,
Like it would have been over. It's just two juggernauts coming out the same year, and it very much reminds me of what happened to Paul Thomas Anderson last time with There Will Be Blood and No Country for Old Men, where they just kept going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth until No Country ended up stealing that award. And those are two of the most important movies of the 2000s. I think still people would claim both of those movies. And
hmm
that is the same thing that's going to happen this year with both of these movies. These are like prime IMDb top 250 cinephile poster movies,
yeah,
uh, along with Marty Supreme. Marty Supreme has no shot to win, but it's going to become that movie as well.
yeah.
And I also think that if Marty Supreme came out last year, I probably could have won Best Picture. So
That's crazy.
yeah, I think
Yeah,
they're all significantly stronger than Honora was this time last year.
yeah. I don't
Mm.
know. It definitely was like, you know, last year was like the Anora show. because I don't think there was any other.
Yeah, well, there for a second, it was going to be the Emilio Perez show until it just had the media firestorm, right?
Oh my gosh,
And I
yeah.
think they were just like, oh, the Palme d'Or winner. Okay, here we go. Which isn't to say that Honora isn't deserving. I think it's a very good movie. I just think that some of these movies that we're talking about this year will be better regarded in 10 years, probably. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I would be interested, 2035. And if someone ever was like, here are the best picture winners ranked of the 2020s, if Anora is kind of more towards the bottom, I wouldn't be too surprised,
Yeah, I mean,
kind of more down.
it's definitely above like Green Book or what's another one that's probably above.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
Shakespeare in Love. We're going to 90s.
Oh man, stuff like I don't know, like Spotlight was a very good movie, but do you see people being like, "Yeah, Spotlight was my favorite Best Picture winner of the decade"?
It's just
Or
such a hard topic, though, so I don't doubt it, but it's a really good movie.
oh yeah, it's an excellent film.
Yeah.
It's you forget that it won. You know what I mean?
Correct. Yeah.
Because I don't like. I think Anora's a good movie too. I'm just saying, like in the context of everything. The Artist is the one I always forget won.
Yeah.
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 Because it's just like a simple homage to a different era of Hollywood, and it's like a decent movie, but like Best Picture, kind of weird. But even then, is there like what was the second place for 2011?
Maybe The Descendants.
Yeah,
maybe.
I mean, look
let me look at that list.
Tree of Life, but that had no shot of winning Best Picture. It was cool, it even got nominated.
Let me see, 2011.
Yeah.
Artist, Descendants, Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close, The Help, Hugo, Midnight in Paris, Moneyball, Tree of Life, War Horse.
They could have done a Hugo.
I still feel like The Help was really popular that year.
It was. That would have aged like milk.
Yeah.
Again, my choice is easily the Tree of Life on that. Like, I think that's the one that'll hold up, probably the most influential. But it's such an art house movie that it's kind of like The Zone of Interest getting nominated a few years ago. Like, it's like that's even cool. They even did that. Like, half of that movie is dinosaurs at a certain point, and they still nominated that for Best Picture. That's interesting. But yeah, I think you had sent a tweet about how it does feel like this year in particular is like it feels like another new age of Hollywood coming in, and I do agree with that. I think if you're paying attention, this is a really, really, really good and important year for movies.
For sure.
Yeah.
My thing, because there's always kind of like a cynicism I see online of like, okay, this is just another year. I'm like, but I do feel like every year there was something, fascinating that I found, that I saw, and like, especially this year, yes, for sure. But like, I loved all the past years as well. There's always an artist bringing something new, and like, I don't know. Oh, that's why I love this art form. There's always something I'm anticipating now. And then, like, it's the excitement of like, oh my gosh, in a couple months we're seeing Christopher Nolan's Odyssey, as we're recording this, Emerald Fennell's Wuthering Heights is coming out. Will it be divisive? Hell yeah. But it's gonna be scrumptious visually, and I'm ready for it.
It cannot be more divisive than the Jeanette McCurdy book. Oh my word.
Oh god.
Before getting on here, I read a chapter of what is quite possibly the most disturbing thing I've ever read or seen in anything. Like, I'm talking about like Greg Araki would probably pick up the book and go, Jeanette, girl, what? Why did you write that?
Well, we'll see in his newest movie though, because I've heard that goes to places from Sundance. So we'll see.
But like, anyway, sorry, that's a whole other tangent for another time.
That's good.
But like, I know what you're saying. Every year, I think I have a pretty solid like favorite movies because I'm almost talking about just in the context of everything, as in like, you know how like technically 2006 had some important movies, but we all talk about 2007, right?
Yes, yeah.
Because it was such a just a influential year for the, or even going all the way back to 1939. Um,
Mhm.
I
And
think
I
if
would
you're
say
saying
1975 as well.
this is that type of year, like it's going to be a 1999 for some people for a while, but like right now, people kind of only see it for like, oh, some good movies came out, but it's like, yeah, but these movies are also going to change the way that movies look and operate for the next 10 years.
There's just been, I think, too, in the last couple of years, kind of a passion from these auteurs and like an urgency. And not to get too existential, but I don't know if it's just because it feels like the world's gonna end really soon.
Yeah,
Like, not to, I'm not like a doomsday conspiracy or anything like that, but it's just like the Fablemans felt like Spielberg being like, shit, I gotta get my life story on screen before I pass away. But he is making their movie this summer, but I kind of felt that with Fablemans. Paul Thomas Anderson, like we talked about, was kind of like a, hey, I'm so sorry the world the way it is. But to my kids and to just the next generation, I do believe in you. It's him saying that.
yeah,
You can even say, I would say even Josh Safdie's Marty Supreme is kind of like a, you may feel out of place for this time period, you know, but
yeah,
you are a dreamer and there's a reason you have that dream. Just go for it, man. You might not get it, but something's driving you, you know?
yeah. But I also think a fascinating dissection of Marty Supreme, and it is a very, very similar message, as sentimental value. I think both of those movies are a great double feature because they're both also about the, hey, you know what, chase for your dreams, but also like look at what's in front of you right now. You know,
Mhm.
like this isn't the only thing, which I also think is interesting that movies are starting to become that is because look, Marty Supreme, he's so hyper focused on this one thing and to be great in this one thing. And the dude doesn't even care that much about ping pong. He just wants to be great at something, and that's just the
Mhm.
thing that's available to him, right?
Yeah.
But like at the end of that movie, he doesn't succeed in anything at
Yeah.
all. And but it's him slowly discovering that like, oh, but there's other things that are important. But also the dream is dead when I focus on those things. So maybe this thing materialized differently than I thought it would, you know? And it's again, we could do an episode on Marty Supreme and sentimental
Yeah.
value. Let's do it.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
but it does feel like filmmakers are starting to go like, maybe we're being a little too pretentious about ourselves, so we need to sit down for a second and realize that there's other things in the world that are more concerning than this art form, even though we love it, which
And
I
then
think is fascinating.
yeah, even Hamnet, you know, what I
Mhm.
loved was kind of this, and also kind of treads the same ground sentiment value. They both were kind of like, hey, art is so important. It can help us heal. Agnes's grief is not immediately resolved after Hamnet, but it's an outlet.
Yeah, well,
And why I love that ending is it's everyone kind of channeling their emotions for what they feel for that piece of art that Will creates, you know. And there's this, and it's such a beautiful tribute to, I think, when the movie first started to come out, was the talks of, hey, Netflix bought Warner Brothers and probably not gonna give Warner Brothers movies to theaters, even though the CEO says he is, but it might be lying. But it was, I think a lot of people point out kind of, then they went and saw Hamnet in theaters, and there was even at TIFF, you know, kind of the release of like, oh, everyone's sobbing at the end. There was a collectiveness of seeing a movie in a theater and everyone in that emotional space of lost but going on. In the end, there is silence, but I don't know, there's something else. There's still hope. There's something to grab, you know.
yeah,
Cinema's great this year, y'all.
it was. Well, you know, even kind of a little ironically, it's kind of a similar ending. It tonally completely different, but like the studio kind of has a similar ending too,
Yeah, I
where it's
do.
like let's
Yeah.
save this art form type of thing, even though our boss is drunkenly getting up on stage and this whole thing is a mess. like glad you guys like the movie. It's
Yeah.
interesting.
It's
Um,
weirdly like heartwarming, that studio ending, man, because they play a great big beautiful and
yeah,
everything about the studio the past couple episodes, right, is so like kind of cynical and hectic and um like I don't know, like cynical and like a little cold about the business. But I think the choice to be like, play, we're both Disney fans, so we love the song, it's a great big beautiful tomorrow,
yeah,
something optimistic and hopeful, and have the crew that we've been following on stage happy and like dancing, and it ends on that close up of Seth Rogen's like face being like happy with what he's done is so, yeah, I love kind of the optimism that we still have so much to do with this art form. I even do want to shout out, like, The Secret Agent being like this foreign film, um, this kind of epic about memory. Another kind of, we're dealing with back to back movies with I'm Still Here, kind of weirdly about this Brazil dictatorship held in the 70s. Secret Agents taking this political thriller form about the importance of kind of memory and cinema, and having cool sequences with decapitated legs attacking people. Like,
which that's
let's go
awesome.
cinema.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, it's great. That
yeah,
entire sequence of that movie, I was just like, this is awesome. Like, what are we doing here?
yeah.
Really cool stuff. I think, and something I thought about the studio is they had their entire episode of the Golden Globes, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it mirrors because he ends up winning a Golden Globe at the same stage. They filmed this mockery of the Golden Globes on, which I think is just brilliant. But I think it's fascinating that all the stories that are being told out of Hollywood right now are about like how the rich are bad and how people put too much into their own work sometimes and they forget about the other things. And then you see the Golden Globe red carpet where people are like, yeah, I paid like $1.3 million for this dress. It's like,
Yeah.
man. Like there seems to be a disconnect between the artists and then the ceremonies themselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is something I think they'll have to atone to at some point, to be honest with you.
Hmm.
I really do. It's
Yeah.
something they're gonna have to address.
Yeah, so last night I finished the last season of Hacks, and the long story short about this famous comedian, she's in her late stage in the relationship between this like Gen Z writer that she hires. Um, it's on its fourth season that I finished last night, and I'm just gonna tell you because I don't think you're gonna watch it, but
Yeah.
the fourth season is all about her getting her late night show, and she's like the first woman to ever get this late night show, and they do a great job throughout the show of like pinpointing like how difficult it is when it shouldn't be this difficult. And it comes to a point where the finale is, hey, you have to hire your head writer, who is the person that she's worked with all her life, because she said something to a news reporter about a guy you had on that had sexual assault charges. And so they want to cover up and let it go. But what she does at the finale is she's like, they want me to fire my head. She goes on stage and she says, hey, this is my last late night show because the company wants me to fire my head writer. I'm not going to do that
Hmm.
because of our relationship and because she did nothing wrong.
Yep.
And then she said, there's a line where she's like, it's getting ridiculous because it's no longer about, it's not just about being number one, no longer just about making people laugh. It's about keeping shareholders happy now because big tech has gone into all our artistic industries. And I thought that was like a really good line that just brought up what we're talking about now, kind of
Yeah.
this like wheeling into our artists, and how are we going to find that line between letting our artists do what they want to do and appeasing these companies. I don't know, man. It's hard, it's scary, but to point out what I said earlier, the secret agent has a scene where a decapitated leg is attacking people, and it's fun and it's cool and it's like artistic.
Yeah.
So it's still getting made. I don't know if maybe we just are starting to look more into foreign films. I mean, one No Other Choice blew my mind with the directing. I feel
Yeah,
like with Hollywood, I'm so used to like just the camera here, there, everywhere. And Park Chan-wook is like, I can just imagine he's like a cigarette smoker being like, let me show you how it's done.
yeah.
Here, here, here. Taking us for a ride. And he's probably just sitting back in his director's chair because he's a master, you know, he makes it all so easy. And even I saw Send Help yesterday as we did this recording, and I just the there's like a really intense close-ups in like the beginning of the movie that I'm like, yes, do more
Yeah.
of that. Let's get freaky Sam Raimi. And then I don't know.
Sin Help is the perfect example of a movie that would not be nearly as compelling if it was directed by somebody else.
110%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's a fun movie, and these people are stuck on an island. And it's entertaining, but like his like freakiness to the whole thing is what makes that like kind of a treat. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Not
Yeah,
to spoil, but like the jump scare at night on the beach, if you know, you know.
yeah.
The
The rat scene.
rat scene, that's cinema.
Yeah,
That's where we come. That's what with Nicole Kidman. That's why we come to the
to the
screen
movie.
for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was cackling. I was like, "Let's go."
I do, to be honest, too. I hope Dylan O'Brien, like the next decade, gets an Oscar worthy role because I think he could pull it off.
He's
I
so
mean,
good. I mean,
after that and Twinless, like,
yeah. Do you know that like he had facial reconstruction surgery like 2 years ago?
yeah, because I think there was a big accident on the Maze Runner.
That it's wild that he's just back doing it after that. Like
Yeah,
most people would not recover from that. Shout out to him. He's pretty
yeah.
cool.
Shout out to him.
Even the Muppet Show is everything that we're talking about. Like the
Oh
Muppet,
yeah,
it's everything we're talking about. It's these people
I,
trying to put on this show, or these Muppets
I
trying to put on the show, and
we,
everything goes wrong. But it's for the entertainment. It's for the art. You know.
I
Which
think we have permission to like have a one-on-one town hall with Disney. If they don't make this a show and figure out what's going on with their brains. Maybe brain surgery if we need to, because
yeah,
people are loving this. It's number one on Disney Plus.
it's
Um,
killing
they
it.
desperately need this. Yeah,
I really think we'll be fine. I think they'll greenlight a whole show. Because this what they wanted to see is people show up to this. I look. I've had this ongoing theory for a long time that Seth Rogen for a while has been like, hey, we need to make a Muppet show again, and even Jennifer Lawrence is probably out in the corner like, hey, we need a Miss Piggy show, and Disney's just been like, we don't know what to do with them, whatever, and then the people coming out to see Muppet Vision on its last day, and that being such a big cultural event, made them go, "Oh shoot, this is still a property that people care about. Let's greenlight this stuff, right?" Because I haven't seen a bigger push for the Muppets from Disney since I've been a fan. I haven't, except for the last 6 months, where it's just like branding, shows, movies. It's just everything. All of a sudden, they're getting a huge cultural push. Just all of a sudden, Fast and Furious. And I think it's just because they finally understood that they're like, oh yeah, people care about this thing, and we can monopolize on that. But thankfully, Seth Rogen actually knows what the Muppets are and figured out a formula to make it work, which is straight up just doing what they did before,
yeah,
which is awesome. And I think that is such a great vehicle for Disney to get on guest stars to promote their own product, to be honest.
hmm
So I don't understand why they wouldn't just be like, yeah, let's not make more of that. It's free marketing for them. You know what I mean? Like, um, especially when they're making a new ride.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, and it works so well. Something I loved about the special, I don't know what happened. But Sabrina Carpenter's Man-Child performance was like so perfect in terms of what it needed for the show. And it honestly in turn made me love the song even more. It
yeah,
was just I think the kind of perfect like blend of like Muppet humor and just a good song. Um and then I do want to shout out Pigs in the Wig. people aren't talking about that skit enough. I thought that was funny.
Oh yeah.
Miss Piggy deserves the world.
And that's just pulled straight out from the original series. They do stuff like that all the time with like the dancing Muppets or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And I saw that, I was like, and the same
Oh,
like Muppet Labs and stuff, and it was still the same song. Gaffer still in the corner, the little cat with the one eye.
yeah.
He's still just chilling there after all this time. It's just like, man,
You have Maya Rudolph dying and coming back to life and flirting with a Muppet. I mean, what more do you want?
that
Like,
first cut when they're like, Maya Rudolph is dead and she comes back alive is like so funny. It's so
yeah.
good.
I thought they were gonna just full on be like Maya Rudolph is dead in this universe. Like,
Like that would have been a great bit, but like what they did with it, I was like, that's fine. But I would have been like, I know we're watching through Wonder Man right now, right?
yeah,
What they did to Josh Gad,
so
amazing,
good.
10 out of
Yeah,
10.
yeah,
Signed, sealed, way to go, Marvel. That was good. I'll give you props for that. So,
yeah.
um,
We do have to shout the Muppet Show. Our good friend John Barnes worked on it, posted production assistant, and you can't see him in the audience.
yeah,
So, way to go, John.
let's go, John.
Yeah,
Johnny boy, the John. But yeah, and I'm not jealous at all.
yeah.
Not a single ounce of my body is jealous of our friend John.
Come to LA if they start shooting in LA, you know.
It's tempting. It's tempting.
Yeah. Warner Brothers game bought by Paramount, which is
Yeah.
known to be run by Trump MAGA loving CEOs, conservative as heck, and it's scary, super duper scary. I am holding out hope. I hear people say California is gonna say no to it, that there's still so much time to make this deal finalized in the ground. Nothing can move. So I'm holding on to that hope. But like the morning of this recording, plans are being made. They confirm that if it goes through, there'll be no singular HBO Max. It'll be combined with Paramount.
Which
And I don't want to see my HBO quality originals next to Yellowstone and conservative gun loving, because that's just what I think of Paramount now. It's all feels very conservative, feels very sequels, and like I don't know, the company kind of gives me an ick now, especially with like Scream 7, everything that went down recently with that. And
in the the episode of rehearsal, whenever Nathan Fielder just straight up called them Nazis.
I would not be surprised if that show like gets scrubbed off digital. If this happens, I wouldn't be surprised if that's not on whatever future platform it's going to be.
Yeah, I'm really afraid for the future of any Nathan Fielder project after the Smurge, which would be a big bummer. Um, I have hope that it actually won't go through. There is a potential way for, again, not only California, but for it to actually get blocked at some point for being too much of a breach of contract, like too much of a monopoly. There is a way for it to get blocked in legislation stance
Mhm.
because of how many news outlets that means that it would own. That being said, we don't have a good checks and balances here right now, so we can't rely on that being a thing that would happen because another, I guess, I don't want to say silver lining, but another hope thing here is the implementation of all of this stuff. It would take years for it to actually surface, right? Um, so like you wouldn't see the full effect of the HBO merging in the Paramount thing until what 2029 probably. It's probably like it's kind of like whenever Disney merged with Fox, it took a few years for us to see the ramifications of that for sure.
Mhm.
Which means within that time span, it might just fall through. Um, I don't know. I don't really even know why Warner Bros. Needs to be bought. To be honest, like
Yeah.
that's kind of ridiculous. But I do think there is ways for this to not happen. Also, another really silly thing you had mentioned it
why on earth would you put HBO into Paramount? Like who has I mean, look, I do have Paramount streaming service because that is where you watch iCarly, right?
Yeah.
Literally. But like who else like realistically has Paramount versus HBO? Why wouldn't you collapse Paramount into HBO? I think HBO is a way more marketable brand identity than Paramount Plus streaming service. Like that sounds like Paramount Plus sounds fake. I think some people don't even realize it's a streaming service, you know?
Yeah. I mean, just look at the story of the service starting as HBO Max, going to just Max, and then going back to HBO Max because it's the brand appeal of HBO that got people to subscribe, you know?
Yeah.
And it's so much better as HBO Max, I think. So,
Yeah, and like it's crazy to think that like people lost their jobs and millions of dollars was spent just to change the name 3 times.
yeah.
Industry is ridiculous. Uh,
Hmm.
they're like children who cannot come up with something to do, so they're just like, well, let's just like mess around and see what sticks. I guess this doesn't work. I don't. It's really bizarre.
And it's weird because I don't have too many gut feelings to prove it, but I kind of am starting to feel like Netflix is really going to start taking steps into theatrical spaces. So if they really did get Warner Brothers, I think it would have been like again, no definitive proof, but just a gut feeling like maybe, okay, we have Warner Brothers. We have people, a team that is used to theatrical expeditions into unknown. So we can trust them with how are we gonna make for example, Narnia, a really
Yeah,
big theatrical experience, will have Warner Brothers hop on it, you know, and help us with it. And they would be such a good team together. I mean, they just announced that they're gonna put like One Piece season 2 in theaters. You know, and I feel like that's something they wouldn't do like 2 years ago.
yeah.
It
They're
feels to be like a little bit of a shift, you know. So that's what I think would have been exciting with if it had to go somewhere. I really do think I wish it was Netflix.
Yeah,
Um,
and isn't that interesting how the tide changes? Because like we were all upset about that a little
hmm
bit ago. Which I mean, still, we would just rather a merge not happen.
yeah,
I don't trust was Ted Santos. I don't trust him as far as you can throw him, to be honest. But
hmm
regardless, it's kind of like which one's worse, like a punch in the face or a punch in the stomach, you know? And you're like, well, I don't know. I guess the stomach, and I guess that's Netflix.
I think the best thing is I'm forgetting their names, but the team of oh man, I should have looked up their names, but it's the two people that are in charge of I don't want to say programming, but in charge of making the slate of Warner Brothers movies that greenlit like One Battle After Another, Sinners, etc. If they get fired from Warner Brothers, that like Universal takes them because they are bringing like original projects, really interesting auteur projects to Warner Brothers. Like I don't know who else would greenlit Digger, an Alejandro original comedic movie with Tom Cruise, or The Bride from Maggie Gyllenhaal. Both The Bride and Wuthering Heights had the same story in terms of they were kind of looked at by Netflix, but they both went with the smaller deal of Warner Brothers because Warner Brothers had theatrical with guaranteed, and they're both getting that now. And it's like I I think it's those two people. I'm gonna look up head of Warner Brothers. It's like DeLuca or something like that. But if they can't stay around with the merger, I hope they find a good home at. I think I don't know. Universal might be best.
Maybe. I I think in this time it's going to be really, really, really crucial for these kind of. I wouldn't call them indie studios, but per se these smaller tour driven studios like A24 and Neon to keep
Hmm.
pushing and striving and trying to like get. I mean, I think realistically, when we look back at this year in particular for movies, um, we're gonna realize just how important Marty Supreme was. Um, I've talked about this with multiple people. The fact that that movie is a star-driven movie, original property. The only thing selling it is Timothy Chalamet starring in a ping pong movie, and it almost made 100 million just domestically alone. Is like a really promising for the future of the industry and being able to run outside of this major tentpole studios.
Hmm.
And I think it's going to be so foundationally important for us to push those studios as all this is going on. Because
Yeah,
they're going to be the things that kind of save the industry.
1000% agree. Yeah, that was the feeling I got online too. Is a lot of people are like, okay, we just if this happens, this is the time for these unconventional ways of releasing, maybe even also looking at like Iron Lung recently, um, and doing things that aren't with these mainstream studios and that are gonna a lot of people might flock and see.
Well,
And then I did find those people's names. It's Pam Abdi and Mike DeLuca. Those are the studio heads for Warner Brothers right now.
okay.
And those are ones that are responsible for all those projects and etc. So
Nice.
shout out to them.
Yeah. Thank you for releasing weird projects in theaters. We love to see it.
Hmm.
Even like I the whole Iron Lung thing, I think also if you look at that, that also does change the industry as well. Did that movie make like 50 million domestic, and it was just released under Markiplier? Is kind of insane. But even like I hate to say it because I know some of our audience is going to be like, "What?" But like even something like an Angel Studios is kind of impressive. How they're like this small like Nashville studio, and their movies will make back like what triple their budget usually. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know. Like it's I do feel like these smaller studios are going to be something we have to look out for as the industry collapses on itself. Um, but even unfortunately, what Scream 7 is just making bank right now. So
Which is like, I don't know, just really weird. Do you really think a part of it is like there are people like on the more conservative side that are like, yeah, F this boycott. I'm just gonna see it, just to go against the grain.
I
I
actually
don't
don't. I I think people how do I think people aren't as terminally online as we are, and
ah
I do think that the legacy sequel aspect of this thing actually does appeal to people's innate nostalgia for the property that the other movies didn't. Um, the appeal of the other two Scream movies for me is a lot more interesting of a pitch, right? I don't even like those movies, but like the fact that they're like this new group of people, and it's like later, and the meta commentary among newer horror movies, and like I remember like a character in one of the movies talking about their letterboxd or whatever. Like that is the way that you continue that franchise, and this seems like the dumb-headed version of continuing the franchise. And I think unfortunately that just sells better right now.
it just doesn't like I love the first Scream movie, and this one doesn't seem like it has any meta aspects. It just looks like a copy paste slasher from the factory machine. It just has Scream on it because Paramount let it have Scream on it.
But Matthew Lillard's AI in it, so you gotta go see it.
Yeah.
It's rough. I want to see it out of pure morbid curiosity, but do not want to give them any money. So it's tough. It is like I was telling somebody because like I'm really not only just with this merger, but just in general, am very concerned about the future of the theater industry because there are red flags if you're not a part. There's red flags for sure. You can't even avoid it. So anytime that like a movie does really well over a weekend, it's always like I always think it's a win. That's why I've always told people, even if it's a movie I don't care about, cool, it made money. Sure, I want movie theaters to survive. I don't care if the next Colleen Hoover adaptation makes $1 billion worldwide. Awesome. We need that, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Reminders of Him comes out next week, ladies.
yeah. Well, what's interesting is I don't know, like I don't keep close enough track on those movies to know their final grosses, but they do really well at the theater that I work at. Like ridiculous.
Regretting You, the last adaptation, I remember making bank last fall. So
Yeah. And of course, there's that Amber Heard one that had no controversy whatsoever attached to it. That like made so much money. It was
yeah.
ridiculous. I forget even what it's called now. But that anyways, back to my tangent. The Screen 7, whenever I saw that it made like $63 million domestically, my heart sunk. I was like, that sucks.
Yeah.
Did well. That's the first time I think I've ever done that. It sucks that it does well, but whatever. It's I guess at least well, so this is kind of interesting. This is something I've noticed. Movie theater, I mean not movie, blah, blah, blah. Horror movies have had like the biggest resurgence within the last few years. Um in a huge way. I mean like we have Sinners, which I think we'll talk about later in this episode, right?
hmm
Which was the movie of last year. Even if it doesn't win Best Picture, it was the movie of last year. It was the success story of last year. Um but we also had like what Final Destination Bloodlines that just randomly made a ton of money and was good. And then the last Conjuring movie, which was less good but still made a ton of money. Um,
Yeah, we were at TIFF that weekend that it came out, and I'm like, this is making bank. Have I heard a single soul talk about it? No. At least in my group of friends.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, it made bank.
yeah. Here's an interesting connotation. I was researching this. There's actual studies behind this. Um, Horror movies always tend to do really well when the world is in a worse spot. So, like for instance, whenever the Watergate scandal was going on, movie theaters were booming at the box office. You can
Mhm.
actually you can follow the line. Like they will do significantly better when there is stress going on in the United States. Um, and so we're seeing that correlation happen again. It's very fascinating, but it's almost like audiences because what you're talking about with the Conjuring movie. Cinephiles were not seeing that movie.
Yeah.
It's very much a normie audience. It's like, what do you want to do for a Friday night? Let's go see Conjuring. But I think a lot of it is actual escapism. People like, I guess our lives could be worse.
I was gonna ask, do you think it's because they're like, hey, at least I'm not getting chased by a Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The world sucks, but at least I'm not doing that. Because in my opinion, I feel like I would rather want to see like something hopeful, something like I don't know. So I just find that interesting why that happens from a psychological standpoint too. So
Yeah, I don't know. And you would think that that would be the case, right? I want something really good, feel good type of mentality, but like it usually doesn't work out that way. Like
mhm.
again, it was Nick's. I believe. Let me look this up real quick. I'm very curious about this because I believe this was the exact time. Let's see. 37th. Yep. Okay. Yeah. Exactly. Um, it was Richard Nixon's stunt in office, and I believe it was around the time of Watergate when The Exorcist came out.
uh,
And that's one of the biggest movies of all time still. Let me see real quick.
I also feel
Yeah,
like
it was
too.
around the same time, 71, 72. Yeah, I really do think there's a correlation with this.
I do feel like what we shouldn't like when we make like film history books, let's say film textbooks, and we talk about like or in relation books about Oscars history and stuff like that. I feel like we should never like make it normalize like the substance got a best picture nom. A
Yeah,
body horror graphic depiction about aging and beauty got a best picture nom. That does not happen in 2008. That doesn't happen in 2013. So it's just a really cool time I think to be living into. It's yeah, hype.
a movie won Best Picture where a raccoon pulls on a man's hair and he runs out and jumps onto a truck. That happened. It's a cool time to be a movie fan if you're paying attention. It really is.
Exactly, yeah. I'm so tired of this BS of like there's no good movies, you know? But it's also from these like conservatives that don't want to see anything. They think like, oh, it's just political because all art is political. When I see like Oppenheimer or Nickel Boys, they're criticizing a part of America and forcing you to watch and
Mm.
like especially of Nickel Boys, it's just forcing you to be in those painful memories and that dark stain, or Killers of the Flower Moon of that dark part of our history, and just forcing you to wait in it for 3 hours, where for this Osage people it was a lifetime. You know,
We
it's
also we wear, I think, as people we wear rose colored glasses a lot. Have you ever seen Midnight in Paris?
I have not now.
It's excellent movie. Unfortunately directed by Woody Allen.
Hmm.
But it's his best in my opinion. But that movie is like, it stars Owen Wilson and he's like obsessed with the 50s, you know, and he just wants, or I think it's the 50s or maybe it's the 40s. It's been a second since I've seen it, guys. But he's obsessed with the era before, and he's like, their art was better and their culture was better and everything about them was just so much better. We don't appreciate the yada yada yada, right? And the premise of that movie is like he goes on a car in a car one time and he's like teleported back to that time and place, and he ends up creating relationships with the people in that era. Um, in the movie, he starts talking to people in that era, and they're like, "Oh man, the art was so much better 20 years ago. Like we're all slop now." And he's like talking about, "No, this is the era. This is great. This is amazing." You know, and they're all talking about, "What are you talking about? They had it so much better." Everyone believes that 20 years ago was better because we don't see the we don't see all the red lights around that time. We only the human mind, I think, always processes the good mostly over the evil when it comes to some things, which is probably a good thing. And
Hmm.
maybe not, maybe that's a generalization, but I definitely think in culture, I mean, when we go like when people go, "Oh man, movies were better in the 80s." They're gonna list off all the movies that were the best movies of the 80s. They're not gonna list off Porky's 2 or something like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
uh, but I do think when you see the summation of all the bad movies that come out with the good movies, but we're not gonna remember those, you know? Um, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, now there's like a resurgence of like 2010s nostalgia, you know? Like that's a big thing, and I get it, you know. Um, but like it's interesting to me, because people be like, "Man, I really do miss whenever we turn on the radio and we'd hear Katy Perry or Bruno Mars," and I'm like, "Look, I think we've improved since then. Honestly, thank goodness we don't live in that era anymore."
Yeah.
But
I remember in January for like a week there was just like a 2016 nostalgia trend because that's 10 years ago this year. Um, and I don't know, it's just crazy. I know theaters around me. I think next week I'm gonna go see La La Land on the big screen because that's turning 10,
yeah,
which is insane because
bonkers.
A La La Land is forever special. I think that was kind of my first award season. I started to like follow and like I didn't know like everything yet, but I was like, ah, La La Land, I'm into this. I want to see this and watching the Moonlight Controversy live. And then I really got into a little more every year afterwards, you know. So
Yeah, that was a big year for me too. Because 2016, I graduated in 2017, high school, which is crazy. It's almost been 10 years now. But 2016 was peak theater kid era, Brett. Which means La La Land was like everywhere for me. You know, like that was the movie. Um, and it was a really, really important like time for me. And so I get the nostalgia of that too. I remember being dressed up as the Pied Piper and for my production of Shrek the Musical when I figured out Trump got elected.
oh no.
It's like, I mean, like one of those things that I'll never forget. Like just that specific moment of being like, wow, you know, because I already knew. I was like, oh, the world changed, you know.
Mhm.
and it was a weird moment to figure that out in, you know. Um, I don't know. And it's like those encapsulations of moments in time are kind of like the reason why I like movies so much. I think. I think it's a reflection. Like I think we talk about this all the time. Just personally, I'll go back and see a movie from a certain year that came out, and it'll give me nostalgia for that year and time and where I was at and where I was living, the people I was talking to.
Yeah, 100%. We were talking in our group chats. I got recommended Ryan Gosling's I Am Ken performance at the Oscars. And then there was just like a wave of like, oh man, this is so much fun. I missed this. It was only like 2, 3 years ago, but like,
But doesn't it feel longer somehow?
yeah. I don't know if it's because it feels like there's so much darkness and Barbie and its pink kind of positivity was like
Yeah.
what I needed maybe for my brain, and but it was sorely missed. And like, yeah, Ryan Gosling in Project Hail Mary out in 2 weeks, so let's get hyped for that.
Oh, that I masterpiece incoming, right?
Yeah.
Um, I actually really do think that could make a play for picture. I really do. Um, I think the cards are aligning for it because the early buzz from most people is that it's just like a slam dunk type of thing. And I think if it sustains the whole year, it's kind of like that populist pick. Um,
hmm Just like we feel like we would think Sinners was last year, right? And just
yeah,
kind of this early, like, oh my gosh, what is this? Everyone has to see it, you know?
it was interesting because whenever Sinners was first coming out, I remember seeing the poster for it and being like, "Oh, cool, new Ryan Coogler original property, a big movie. Okay, that should be really interesting." But then I remember those reviews came out, and I went, "Oh, shoot, this is a little more than that."
hmm
That movie could have come out and been Mickey 17 really easily, like.
Yeah.
But a movie I love, so don't get me wrong there. But like, it's not that we're talking about that movie getting 16 nominations.
No, yeah.
You know. Um. Oh, speaking of which, I don't know if we should even get into this. But do you have any takes about the BAFTA controversy?
It's so complicated
Yeah.
because I think Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo have a right to be like uncomfortable and
Yeah.
deserve an apology. But then I know it was kind of recently revealed that the guy with Tourette's, like, I believe was told like there wouldn't be any mics near him, but the BAFTA still, oh, we placed him near a mic. And the whole thing kind of reeks of like to get attention and eyes on us, you know,
Hmm.
where we're like using this poor guy and his disability to get ratings, to get attention. So the whole thing feels sick. It feels
Yeah.
uh
I think the BAFTAs definitely are the ones to hold account, and also BBC for not editing that out. Like, what are we doing?
oh, but yes, remember they had the time to air out a guy saying free Palestine. So
Yeah, and I think there was someone trying to justify it by saying, well, they didn't want to cut out Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo, and it's like, come on, guys, like that's still not something we should just be playing on TV. Um, yeah, the more and more I looked into it, I do wish that the guy had given a direct apology to Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo. I do understand that, like, maybe, like, again, coming from a place of ignorance of the whole Tourette's thing. I'm not an expert or anything,
mhm.
but from what I have gathered and from what I have read and researched on this when seeing this issue, it is an involuntary thing.
Yeah.
It is a conditional thing. But I do think, I guess personally, I would still be nice for him to be like, hey, my words do not mean, like, I don't mean what I say, and so that my apologies go out that even happened to the fellow performers. It very much felt like his statement was like, "Hey, I'm sorry, but that just happens sometimes." You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Which I get, but at the same time, it's like you still could apologize directly to the people that were hurt, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but the idea, because I was listening to the Blank Check episode today where they did the Blankies, which is their like award show they do every year. Um,
Mhm.
and they briefly brought it up, and you know, David Sims is like, look, it's a terrible situation, but also he goes, it is a crazy like faulty towers type of situation too. The fact that like you're like, let's have the guy with Tourette's sit next to the microphone is a crazy like setup for like an insane bit. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Which is almost why you think it was written. It's weird, really weird. Um, but like now it's just I wonder how BAFTA's gonna go next year. You know?
Yeah.
But anyway, off that tangent. We also talk about the more positive side of Sinners, it winning the SAG. That was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Actor awards. We're
yeah.
calling it SAG still. It feels weird.
Yeah, that sounds like the most AI generated nonsense award ever. The
It's
actor.
basic, it's generic, it doesn't stick. Like, ugh.
I wonder if next year there's gonna be like, guys, we're calling it the SAG again. We're pulling in HBO Max.
Yeah.
I think everyone would be like, thank goodness. We never have to do that again. Um, yeah, no. The SAG going to Sinners was really, really cool. I was expecting it, but still, when it happened, I was like, "Huh, this thing could win Best Picture, couldn't it?"
Oh, very much so. I think it, everyone knows it's a fight between that and One Battle.
Yeah.
Everyone else is there. Thank you for nominating us. We're gonna sit to sign your popcorn and enjoy the show. It's either the team of Sinners or One Battle that's going up on that stage.
Oh,
Um,
F1 just going, man. How did we even make it through the door?
F1 is like, I guess I'm getting dressed up. They're scrambling.
I think we entered the wrong room.
Mhm.
Where's the door out? Could you imagine in like a nightmare world where F1 just stole Best Picture out of nowhere?
But I also personally live for that drama. I would love a Begonia Best Picture win. Like, let's go.
Oh, that would be hilarious. That'd
That
be
would
so
be insane. Oh my gosh.
yeah.
But I kind of brought this up in a group chat. Something I've been thinking about over the weekend too was my favorite movie of the year is Hamnet. And just thinking back on it, I'm like, the worst thing in the world would be if it won Best Picture. Because there has unfortunately been a kind of Oscar villain of the year with Hamnet. And I feel like if it won against Sinners and One Battle, especially, there will be like a hate train. Like it would probably be the worst thing for that movie
Yeah.
because it would be like, wow, they really just, I could see it now. They really just awarded Oscar drama porn versus like category like classic defining Sinners in One Battle. So I'm like, I'm gonna take the Jesse Buckley win. That's gonna happen and just move on, and people will love it and join me, in the
Nobody
future.
would feel like, man, they'd place it right up there with the English Patient. Like
Yeah.
I can't believe that one or whatever. And it's just like it's not that bad, guys. It's a good movie, but
Hmm.
because it does remind me of like, and I think time is starting to reflect on these movies better. But like, you know, people always complain. They're like, I can't believe the Ordinary People beat Raging Bull in the Oscars in 1980. Yada yada yada. It's like I don't know how to tell you this, but Ordinary People's a better movie than Raging Bull.
Amen. Yes.
Look at this real quick as like, and then people will be like, Kramer versus Kramer shouldn't have beaten Apocalypse Now, and I'm like, look, call me crazy, but actually get it. I totally get it.
God, Oscar dramas are my bread and butter. Give me, give me an Ordinary People any day of the week.
Well, yeah, but like the thing is I feel like there's a lot of people who immediately think, oh, the more transgressive movie should win Best Picture, and it's like, no, it shouldn't always.
yeah.
Robert Redford made this amazing drama and his really personal movie about grief and loss. And I'm
Mhm.
sorry, that deserved Best Picture over the portrait of a narcissistic, toxic boxer. As good as a movie as Raging Bull is, I'm not
Mhm.
saying it's a bad movie, but I'm saying I think they actually chose the right movie. But when
Yeah.
you study film and you study cinema and you study Martin Scorsese, immediately the thing that sticks to your mind is kind of like, well, I mean, Martin Scorsese should have won the Oscar for his Opus or whatever. And it's like, yeah, he won it for The Departed later. Just calm down. And did The Departed win because there was no other movies nominated that year? Sure, but like it's still.
They were like, it's the time now, you guys. And look at him still he's making a movie right now. That's why Leo couldn't be at the SAG Awards because he's filming the movie in Prague right now.
Which,
So
dude, I really hope that I'm like 85 and still shooting like 3-hour masterpieces. Like that's crazy. Good
it's
for him.
insane. Good for him.
Yeah, that dude had stamina. It's
Yeah.
kind of like Clint Eastwood being like 94 and still directing 2-hour westerns and starring in them. It's like, bro cannot stop.
Yeah.
Or Hayao Miyazaki will probably end up dying on the drawing board,
Hmm.
But some of those guys, they just
I am really glad, like you brought up Hayao Miyazaki. I'm glad I got to see like a new release from him in theaters with The Boy and the Heron. Like that's really special for me.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh man. And you saw it at TIFF, so like that's even more cool. So
Oh yeah, that was a crazy experience because they gave us like the press notes when I went to the screening. I still have that somewhere here. That was wild. Um, and then I saw it again. I saw it twice there, and it's so good.
it is cinema. So
Yeah. Um, but okay, my question for you right now: do you have one battle, or do you have Sinners winning Best Picture?
Sinners, off
Yeah,
the top of my head, with that SAG win
yeah.
and giving it like the most nominations of the night, I think says favor to it. But yeah, you can make a really good case for one battle too. But yeah, it's just I'm feeling Sinners love more these past couple of days.
Mhm.
We have like a week, 2 weeks until the Oscars, so I think everyone's like Sinners, Sinners, Sinners.
Yeah, that's the thing I'm kind of like whenever I'm looking at this, that's the thing that I keep thinking about too. Is like the last minute momentum push has so helped movies before, right? Um, it is kind of, and it a part of me does feel like it might be like the Moonlight, when or even better comparisons to Coda when. Remember whenever like we were all like, "Oh yeah, Power to Dog sweeping every single award race," and then like they invited the Coda cast to the White House, and we were like, "Oh wait a minute." This thing's having the push that it needs. Um, it's tough though, because like, one battle after another is like Paul Thomas Anderson's like opus for a lot of people, right? Maybe outside of
Mhm.
Early Blood. And it has won so much. That like I don't know. It's the thing about both of them is that they're both overperforming at award shows, which is interesting because usually like we see like a Oppenheimer just sweep, right?
Mhm.
But like both of them keep going back and forth with a lot of these award shows.
And that's so great to see. I think the past 2 years, everyone was tired of, like, in our group chats, especially of like, oh, a Nora won. Yay. Next easy category, you know? Or Oppenheimer, you could say the same thing. Whereas this season, the only kind of sweep really is Jessie Buckley for actress. All the other acting categories, like,
Yeah,
gone to a different, like, person. Um, so yeah,
yeah.
fun.
Well, my thing is like, could Michael B. Jordan win? Right?
Right?
I
Yeah.
think I think it will probably happen at this point. Um, because what we've seen in the past, if Sinners wins Best Picture, he's winning Best Actor.
Hmm.
That is happening. I think that's a good indication. Like if Best Actor comes up and it's Timothy, then I'm like, okay, one battle probably win picture, right?
Yeah.
But with a lot of these, like One Battle and Sinners will both win their respective screenplays. It's looking like right now there's a pretty good shot that Paul Thomas Anderson will finally win his directing Oscar. Um, I figure that's pretty done, but you never know. They might pull a Ryan Coogler. That'd be crazy.
That would be crazy. Yeah.
That'd be because then I mean the nice thing is too with both of these guys, it feels like Paul Thomas Anderson should be older than he is, but he's still got quite a few more movies.
It's
Uh,
so what's interesting, it's gonna kind of veer a different topic, but I'm so used to Paul Thomas as this, like, a tour, and I see pictures from like the 90s and the 2000s where he was like really at his peak and he's like smoking and whatnot. Whereas my view of him doing one battle after another is like he's very like the cool dad. He's in his 50s. He has teenage kids. He kind of has like white gray hairs. And he's like, man, I love movies. And it feels like he has like a smile on his face. I'm like happy, really happy for him. Like that's the vibe I'm getting. I'm like, this guy's just enjoying his life now. He has a beautiful wife and kids. He's made so many of his movies are considered classics. He probably could like die happy now, you know? So I love that for him.
yeah, but like since he made Boogie Nights at 26, the most insufferable fact I know about anyone. Um,
Yeah.
Oh, it's just like the dude, like he's got like maybe five other movies that he can make in his career. Five, like just so probably even more than that, right?
Hmm.
He's just gonna keep working. So it's interesting for director. I don't think either one of them are gonna be like mandatory to give the Oscar to right at this moment. One of them's just gonna get it, right? Um,
Yeah.
it's probably PTA. He's more of an he's been around longer. But like we can't say that Ryan Coogler is not already in a tour because he is. He's probably in the top five most powerful and influential filmmakers in Hollywood after
Hmm.
this.
Oh yeah.
I don't see how he wouldn't be on that list.
Also, like, can I go on another side tangent?
Yeah.
Um, Ryan Coogler, a couple days ago, they announced his next project. He wants to do an X Files reboot because All in Honor of His Mom is his mom's favorite show. Daniel Deadweiler is the lead. He's been talking about it. Hulu says, yes, we'll take it, but only the pilot.
Hmm.
And to me, it's like, granted, I saw the headline, then a couple days later, I read the article, and the article said, this is just what Hulu's doing now. They always do just a pilot and then wait, test, let's see if it works type deal, like they're doing with the new Buffy show. But this is different because Ryan Coogler again is coming off this monster that is Sinners. You really aren't gonna just give him the go ahead to do an entire season. You're gonna make him do a pilot and then wait around twiddling his thumbs while they see if a pilot for Ryan Coogler's X Files works out. I feel like it's just Hulu just give him the money, give him the season run, give him the go ahead. Like it's just gonna be like it probably just sucks. Like you just film a pilot and then you have to wait around until you get the green light to go, you know? And this is Ryan Coogler. Who knows for the other people that want to make TV shows that don't have sinners that don't have anything. Which, fun fact, the Buffy pilot is directed by Chloe Zhao too. So
Oh, really?
yeah. Yeah. And
Huh.
she's talked about how like Buffy was like her show. Her and Ryan Coogler, they're best friends. They apparently were in the Sundance Labs together. It's funny, they both are kind of doing the same. They're both wow, yeah. They're both doing the same things. They're both have pilots at Hulu. They're based on passion projects of beloved 90s shows that they just love. Like Chloe Zhao loved Buffy and watched it like every week and all that. So she has a passion and nostalgia for it. So
It's
I'm so excited.
it's like if one day I got to make Twin Peaks,
Yeah.
but I would also be like, that would be too much pressure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That's crazy though. Huh. Another thing, yeah, and then Zhao is definitely becoming one of our more powerful filmmakers working right now too. 100%. But I also do feel like that was like, I know there for a second before this all cleared out, people were like, could Hamnet win Best Picture? You know,
Hmm.
I was always like, would Hollywood be ready to give Chloe Zhao 2 Best Picture winning movies? I don't
I
know.
think, yeah, then she becomes like a symbol for female filmmaking, of course. And like,
Well,
is,
which I feel like she already is, to be honest.
yeah,
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
she's already like the second TIFF People's Choice Award held by a female director. So, and it's the first was Nomadland 2020. So,
Yeah, it's I was looking this up the other day. I Between 1970 to now, I think the only 2 directors that have gotten Best Picture winning movies twice were Francis Ford Coppola and Clint Eastwood.
wow.
Like those are, obviously huge, influential filmmakers, right? Um, but not even Spielberg, not even Scorsese, have done that.
Hmm.
So I was always kind of hesitant on that, just because I'm like, man, that'd be a huge statement. Which I mean, it would be a cool statement. I would love it. But it would be a huge statement. Um, but that's also why like next year I'm kind of looking at like, I know people are already going like, well, is the Odyssey going to win Best Picture, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe perhaps, but like Wild Horse 9 is sitting there, and Fjord, and
Yeah.
I think maybe even Dune Part 3 still. I know people are off of that because of the Wicked thing, but like
Hmm.
I'll
This
still
is different.
this is
This is so different.
yeah.
This is like Dune Part 3 will have like cinematography. No, sorry.
No, you're right. You should say it. Uh,
Yeah.
well, that's the biggest part is like, look, the reason why Avatar and Wicked for Good flopped is because they were mid, right?
Yeah.
Let's just be completely honest. We'll be completely open about it. Um, Dune Part 3, I don't think is going to be mid. That would be crazy. That'd be a crazy twist. It's Denis Villeneuve making the last part of this epic trilogy before he goes on to do James Bond. I feel
Yeah.
like it'll be a big cultural thing. Um,
Yeah. I know, I guess Timothy, of course, during this crazy press tour, he said that his performance in part three is like really eerie, and he says he based it off Marlon Brando and Apocalypse Now and Heath Ledger and the Joker.
oh,
So it's like, dang, hyping himself up, like,
well, you know what? Maybe if he doesn't end up winning the Oscar this year,
yeah,
can you imagine just he keeps getting nominated? He's on that Tom Hanks run.
yeah. He's gonna be the next male Meryl Streep. Well, Meryl Streep I know wins, but like I feel like she's like nominated so much, you know. She's still gonna win again for the Joni Mitchell biopic, but it's Cameron Crowe. I mean, I'm here for it.
But I still wish it was like Amanda Seyfried or something. Like, let's be real, that would be cool.
Hmm.
Whatever. Um, is that coming out? Like, when is that coming out?
I feel like they're gonna start production soon, but It's not even like 100% confirmed Anya Taylor-Joy is the young Joni Mitchell yet. It's just Meryl Streep is the older version. And
Why are we doing that?
yeah.
Again, I still think Amanda Seyfried would have been a good choice for the younger one, at least. Or we could just cake her in old person makeup. I don't know. That would be a weird choice. But yeah. I also, it might be. What happens if Oscar night, Delroy Lindo wins supporting actor? Is that a sign? Is that a pure sign that we're like, oh, this is the direction it's going?
That would be I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I think I was thinking about this on my drive back because somebody today from work, somebody at work asked me today what I thought about the current race, and I was talking about it. I feel like recently they have done kind of like down the line voting for some movies. Like I feel like that's a big reason why Jamie Jamie Lynn Spears. What am I talking about? Jamie Lee Curtis won for Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's because people just like love that movie. So they're like, oh, we'll give it everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if people do that for Sinners, could Delroy actually end up winning that award?
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it, like wow, yeah.
That'd be a bonkers turnout.
Mhm.
Mhm. Well, Jared, I also know that you had some TV shows you want to talk about.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely a TV guy, and I think February was like really good. My network TV took a break for the Oscars, but that just allowed more time for my premium TV to shine. You'll see I highlight some episodes of my best of February post that's going to come soon on my Instagram. But industry is really coming out on this really great final run that's reinventing the show. And the music supervisor is like spending HBO money like no tomorrow. There is a vertigo from Daft Punk needle drop in a nightclub involving our two leads that made me ascend to another dimension. There's Kate Harington going to gay nightclubs. There's drama. There's line readings. It's pure television. It still feels like this underseen show because the Television Academy doesn't like award it, but like if you want like dirty fun, Industries the show. Just really great acting for everyone involved. I also feel like everyone always sleeps on Shrinking, but at least that gets Emmy nominated. Um, Kind of the perfect show that balances the drama and humor without missing a beat. And Harrison Ford is really acting his socks off. He is so good. It feels like he never got a chance to do a comedic role in his career, and this was his chance, and he is leaving nothing on the table. There are no scraps on the table. He is hitting every beat. He's making it look easy, and then he like does those heart moments that break your heart in such an easy way. He has like puppy dog eyes that like destroy you. Highly recommend Shrinking. Um, and then Paradise is this like really interesting show. It's by the guys that this the way I describe it is if you wanted This Is Us to have a little more blood spurts and a little more F bombs, Paradise is the show for you. It's by the same guys, but it's tackling more a post apocalyptic world. Um
My parents watched that. I haven't seen it yet.
it's really interesting how they're tackling kind of human connection and distress and agony, and how there's still a need for like human connection. The season 2 opening episode is totally not on any of the characters we know from season one. It's instead follows Shailene Woodley as this character who managed to survive the apocalypse by herself, and this like band of guys come and find her like years after the apocalypse first happened. And there's like a scene where like she hugs someone for the first time in forever. That was really well done, and kind of she having this intimacy that she's never had before. That was like, oh wow, like I love the show exploring that topic of there's always a need for human connection and how we survive that. What's the hope that drives us forward, you know? So just stellar work all around. I know as we get closer to Emmy season, which the cutoff is in May, I know there are going to be just great stuff around the corner. So excited. Good luck to all involved. I think like a year ago this month was Adolescence, and we know it's winning every single award show
Yeah.
ever. It literally won awards last night. Like,
Same with the studio. Studio swept the season too.
yeah. Oh my gosh. Catherine O'Hara, man. I'm glad she won.
That was such a good moment for the
What
show.
what a force. I don't know. It's just really sad because she was so good. I know you didn't watch it, but she's amazing in Schitt's Creek. I mean we know Home Alone too.
Of course.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't know. It sucks. I
Yeah.
hate it. The in memoriam was like, but I'm glad their art is always gonna live forever. You know, like we're so lucky with yeah. And we gotta see them, you know?
And Seth Rogen's statement about how you could be a genius and still be kind was like, ugh, that was good.
Mhm.
What a guy. Who knew
That
that Seth Rogen would be a class act?
that is the man behind the Muppets, and that is the right man, like
Yeah. Which, by the way, the Muppets.
we are breaking down Disney's stores soon. We're
Yeah.
giving them until the end of March, and then we are driving down to Burbank.
Oh,
So,
that should. Oh, wait. Okay. That should be the next episode. It's like the Muppets trying to convince Disney CEOs.
Josh is it Josh Tomorrow? That's the new one?
Yeah.
I'm forgetting names. Yeah.
Dude, he could give me so much goodwill immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're pitching a full season for this.
Well,
And
I
then
forget.
we're having Nathan Fielder be one of the guest stars on one of the episodes. Imagine.
I think you would scream. I would hear you screaming from here. Nathan Fielder was.
Dude, it would be so perfect.
Yeah.
What? It's right there, guys. Yeah, you can do it. Kyle MacLachlan,
Yeah.
guest starring episode.
I remember.
Olivia Rodrigo. I think that would be really fun too. Honestly.
Yes.
That'd be great.
Chapel Roan would be good. Just all the pop girls.
Yeah, honestly. Jacob Elordi, but he's dressed up as Frankenstein.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Come on, guys. You can do it.
And bring people like Steve Martin back. I think it would be fun.
Yeah. But look, that show is still popping off, right? People are talking about it. You bring it up like just in public, and people will turn around and be like, "Oh yeah, I watched that," right? Like
Yeah.
I've noticed that recently. It was huge. It had 11 million viewers within like the first week or something like that. Like y'all know what to do.
hmm
We came, we delivered. Diamaro, get on the phone, make it happen.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
I do have good vibes about the guy too. I was reading an article of like it was a big celebration at Disneyland, like an anniversary or something. And they were looking for him specifically because he was nowhere to be found. He needed to be at this ribbon cutting ceremony, but he was in like the back of the line talking specifically to like the cast members that are managing the lines for people to get into the park and shaking their hands and like, you know, granted, could it be like a fluff piece? Yes, but I appreciate that in a guy, you know. So
Yeah. Well, he even did you see the initiative that came out today that management and leadership within the Disney company are all getting retrained?
yes, at the
That's really
parks,
good.
yeah,
That's needed to happen. I mean, I can only speak so much because what I know, but like they really do need to shapen up management in the parks. Like it needs to happen yesterday. It's a big issue.
Mhm.
Um, I think if Diamaro immediately starts shutting down the AI stuff too, that would be great. That's something he really
Exactly.
needs to do. I would give him a lot of good grace.
Mhm.
In my opinion, in my humble opinion, and this is a steaming hot take from me. Okay, Bob Iger is the worst CEO in Disney's history. Um, and people flaunt him and they love him for whatever reason. He sucked. He was really bad, and he almost killed that company. So I'm real, but Diamaro gives me a lot of hope. I there definitely is the dark line. For me, Iger is the Dark Knight line, right? Where you either die the hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Because when he
Mm.
first came in, he was great and he did a lot of good stuff for the company. But by the end of it, he made about every worst decision you could potentially make. And I really do think that this sudden change in Disney's like CEO leadership had to do with people and the board being like, look, we don't want to have to fire you, but like, dude, also you need to leave. I really do. That's just me. That's just me guessing and riffing. But like the AI thing, but not only that, the whole thing that with them taking Jimmy Kimmel off the air because of that stupid, not even joke he made
Mhm.
to appease some sort of like right wing whatever. That lost them money. That lost them millions of dollars. If people can't,
Yeah, there was a big like everyone cancel your Disney, everyone cancel your Hulu, all that jazz.
yeah. So like, I really do think that Diamaro could save that company if he does the right things. Right now, he's saying all the right things, in my opinion. Um, and he was my choice for sure. If you would ask me, like, who do you think should be the next CEO? I'd be like, oh, Josh Diamaro, like, um, because he's consistently like you talk about him talking to the cast members. Dude, he talks to the college students all the time. He was like on our campus when I was at the Disney College program, like probably once a month, just chatting with students, asking how it was going. So like it actually does seem like he cares. Hopefully that continues to happen as he's the CEO. But
Mhm.
um I also think that he is a fantastic speaker and presentator. He's a solidly good looking dude. He has a lot of charisma. I mean, that's what, dude. The girl, people on our campus would simp over Josh Diamaro. It's hilarious.
That's so great. I love
Yeah,
that.
but like for me, every time he even sold you something that was bad at D23, you'd be like, oh yeah, you know what? I'm hopeful for that, right?
Mhm.
I think Iger, he was fine on camera. He he could talk, he could present himself okay, right? Um, but he wasn't necessarily a personality. Um, I think a big thing that's been missing from the Disney brand leadership when Michael Eisner was the CEO of Disney, he would show up on like the tapes, and he would show up in the parks. He was branding himself as a figure like Walt Disney was, and I do think that inadvertently gives the company a lot more personality. I do. I think Iger's approach made him feel a little bit more cold to the whole Disney brand because it just felt like, oh, he's the guy who's signing the checks to make sure the things that I like I can have, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like to me, he seemed like he every time he showed up, he was like, "Oh, that's a businessman. That's a mogul, right?" Um, Diamaro is the same thing. Don't get me wrong. He's a rich he's a rich CEO billionaire, or about to be at least, right? But
Mhm.
at least in his presentation, it seems like there's whimsy to him. If that makes sense,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, yeah, that was a whole tangent, but like that is something interesting. We've actually gotten into this a few times on this attractions as well because when it was happening, Kevin and I talked about it for a while. But like, um, look, maybe I was a little too harsh on Iger, right? But and look, I would take Iger over a Zagzloff any day of the week. Um, but that man did do some really terrible things to that company that I think somebody needs to come in and revert as soon as they possibly can. So yeah.
Yeah. I will be going D23 in August, so I think some exciting stuff. I that's what I hope with Disney. I'm like, maybe they're just waiting for D23, but
They might be.
yeah.
I mean, honestly, with it being the first year of Diamaro being the CEO, he might be like, "We got to pull all the stops, guys."
hmm
Um,
That's why I feel like I know it might be too soon, but I wouldn't imagine like the first Doomsday official trailer might be at D23, and they'll bring out the cast like I remember they did for Infinity War. Um, so I can see that happen, like stuff like that.
when is D23?
It is. Let me pull up the dates on my calendar. August 14th through the 16th, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
I'm tempted.
Yes, go join me.
Well, like I'd have to skip TIFF if I did that because I could probably do them both. But since TIFF is so close to the thing I'm doing on the cruise, that would be more time in between. Jared, you're giving me an idea.
Heck yeah! Heck yeah!
I've always wanted to go. Maybe this is the year. Maybe this is the time. Maybe this is the place.
Yeah.
D23 era. Let's go. Nice. Well, is there anything else we want to cover? Well, we saw Wuthering Heights. We could talk about that briefly.
Yes. Yeah. Um. Yeah. I love cinema that is like so full of passion and emotion, and Emerald Fennell is playing that on the play. I'm sorry to people that don't like this, but this is yearning, this is romance, this is tragedy, this is darkness. And I loved it. It's still my like probably least favorite of hers. I did take like a couple days to kind of vibe with it. And honestly probably not the biggest fan of Margot Robbie's performance, but I understand like her character, right? But like, yeah, the sets and the cinematography like are freaking amazing. I really don't know how you like just half star it because you don't like her and it's stupid and not at least think some of what was being shown is just so gorgeous. Um, but yeah, it's in my top 4 of the year.
Yeah. I really enjoyed it too. I thought I could go either way with it. I think it will go down as the best looking movie of the year. It would win cinematography for me this year if it came out last year for like my
Mhm.
awards. That didn't make any sense. It would have won cinematography for my awards this year if it came out last year. Hopefully that translates to better. Um, but like stunning like cinematography, production design, set to detail. I love the soundtrack. Charlie XCX is making some bangers on that thing.
Yeah.
Um, anytime I've talked to people about this movie, the thing always comes up. We're like, well, they're all like terrible people. Like, and I'm like, yeah,
That's the
that's
point. I
kind
feel
of
like we have to say
like
that a lot in modern
genre.
discourse.
Yeah. I'm like, but I'm sorry, it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun to watch all these like terrible people like bicker with each other.
Yeah.
It's kind of why I like watching Traitors, you know? Like there's an innate thing behind it where you're like, oh, they're all gonna backstab each other, and they're all gonna say there's a scene in the movie where Hong Chow his character does something to Margot Robbie. Margot Robbie states like, you just like watching me cry. She's like, not as much as you like crying or something like that. And I was like, yeah, get her.
Yeah.
Let's go. It was awesome. It was hilarious. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like,
I had a blast.
yeah, there's the scene where like Margot Robbie's humiliating I forget the actress's name, but I know the character's name is Isabel in front of Jacob Elordi. And I like actually let out a gasp in the theater because I'm like, damn, they're torturing this poor girl.
Yeah.
And it's like it's so sick, but so fun. And then it's weird because like the ending comes, and I don't want to spoil it, But it like I walked out of the theater being like, "Ah, man." Like, it still like hit me even though I know like they're not good for each other. Their souls are always like tethered to each other. They can't help it. And then there's a lot of dissect I think about like Kathy's shame and about everything and class and whatnot. Yeah, it was really well done. Just Jacob Elordi is like such an actor. I think he's getting Oscars sometime in the 2030s, hopefully. He should be getting it for Frankenstein. I don't know if that's considered a hot take. Because I think there's a lot of people on the Stellan Skarsgård train. That I've been hearing. Oh, and the one Battle Train.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
as someone who Sentimental Value is probably like my second favorite movie of last year. It's up there for me. Like really important movie for me personally. I would probably actually give it to Elordi. As
Oh,
much
I
as
would
I
too.
love Bill Skarsgård in the movie, I think he's fantastic. Elordi kind of just like blew me away about Frankenstein. And like I thought Frankenstein was really good. I think it has issues. That's a movie. I think there is stuff about it where if you fine tuned it a little bit, if you figured it, I think the movie's in two different perspectives, right?
Mm-hmm.
The first half takes a long time to get there, but once the monster is there and you start to figure out what the movie's about, I think it just becomes like exceptional.
Mm-hmm.
And every scene with Elordi emoting as the Frankenstein monster is just like some of the best stuff that Del Toro's ever done, and I think is the reason why the movie's so well remembered. And
Yeah.
he single handedly carries that movie pretty much on his back.
I
Yeah.
I have an image saved. Someone asked online for that day. What was your like? Sorry, I can't think. The question was, what was the moment in a 2025 movie that made you sit up in your seat? And everyone, not everyone, but one person just posted a screenshot where it said like part two, the creature story from Frankenstein. And I was
Yeah.
like, heck yeah,
You're like, oh,
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, we're in it now. Yep.
It was the way too, because the story's framed of they're telling their story. Oscar Isaac's telling a story on this ship, and he's like very hurt. And then Elordi is like amazing makeup. It's like now it's my turn. We're like heck, I was like heck yeah in my head. I love TIFF. I remember seeing that at TIFF and like all the gory, violent moments and the woman in front of me be like, ooh, oh, like
Yeah. It's so fun. I love how, dude, the first year I went, I saw Next School Wins there. Uh, I will not name them. I will not name them because they are someone that has an online presence here, but somebody that I knew spent $600 on Next School Win tickets, which is crazy. Anyways, that's a whole other conversation for another time.
yeah,
But like, look, Next School Wins. That movie came and went and did nothing, right?
right,
Kinda.
yeah.
In that theater on its premiere day, you would have thought that it was the single greatest, most groundbreaking movie you've ever seen in your entire life. I kid you not.
That's
Like,
crazy.
people were crying, they were cheering, they were pumping their fists up in the air, they were going. I remember when the movie was over, there was like a standing ovation, everyone was clapping, and I remember like texting the group chat being like, "Is this winning people's choice? Because like, what's going on right now?" And it
Yeah.
didn't even place, and I went, "Oh, I guess this is just what these are like." Like, it was
Hey,
crazy.
my like third screen, it was like the third public screen of Amelia Perez standing ovation.
Yes.
And, and we all know. But I think that's fun. And like I don't know if I said it publicly on the pod before, but like I remember it was me, you, and our other guest Tristan that sometimes is on here. We all managed to go to the same screen at Poetic License, and this was like a second screen at Scotiabank.
Yeah.
And wow, I've never been in a theater where everyone gets laughing so hard at like everything. It even got to a point in the third act where like I'm a person that laughs when like just based on someone else's laugh. So there was someone that was like laughing like really hard to the point of like I feel like this other random person in the corner of the theater couldn't breathe. And I was just laughing because of that laugh, you know. It was just infectious. Well, just to take your side, and Brett will back me up on this. In May, Rocha will release Poetic License. Go see it.
Go see it. This time next year when we talk about our best movies of this year, Poetic License will be on that list for me. I had an absolute blast. I want to see it again so badly. I think it is genuinely one of the best comedies in years. Along with another movie that I want to bring up.
Yes, talk about that movie. Yes.
Yeah. So ironically, all right, I went to TIFF. Whenever I went to TIFF, my two favorite movies coming out of the festival were No Other Choice and Poetic License, right? Which are two movies that I love with everything. So good time at the movies. But two movies that I missed at TIFF probably would have ended up being my top two. But I missed both of them, right?
Yeah.
One was Sentimental Value, which again, like I mentioned earlier, was probably my second favorite movie of last year. It is like a movie that I think about all the time. I think it's beautiful and I think it's a masterpiece and it's pretty close to perfect. But another one is Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. Not only would this have been my favorite movie of TIFF, this is one of my favorite movies of the entire decade so far. This movie's astounding. I mean, like, and it's tough because, like, going into it, all I heard is people hype it up for me, as in, Brett, this movie felt like it was actually made in a factory for you specifically. And, you know, when people set you up with that expectation, you kind of go, shoot, hopefully I like this thing, you know, like you're like, I know that I'm supposed to love this thing. So hopefully it doesn't fall to my expectations. And it just didn't.
I'm so glad, man.
Yeah, this is quite possibly the most I've ever laughed in a movie theater in my entire life. Just from beginning to end, consistent jokes that were just all landing. And just, I actually think it is a great portrayal of struggling to get your art made and distributed. As goofy as it is, because you know it's these guys who just are trying to get a show at the Rivoli, right? Like that's the whole running joke of the entire show. The whole conceit of the show is they could just go up to somebody and ask, "Hey, can we play?" And they'd probably be like, "Yeah, sure, man." But they just don't think about doing that, right? But I actually think that does speak deeper into the pursuit of wanting to get your art made and distributed, and maybe the answers being right in front of you, you're not actually seeing them. Which I think is a fascinating look actually at, and also the friends that you make along the way. Like as cheesy as that sounds, it is a joy and celebration about making art. But it is so funny and has some of the most inventive jokes. And genuinely, I have a production degree. I watch movies all the time. I know how these things work. I know how structure works. I even I was talking to before this. I finished the Traitors season that I was watching, like the new Traitors. I literally guessed who won the show because of the way that the show was being framed, as in like I was like, oh, there's a narrative going on here. Therefore, this guy's going to win the show because why on earth would they be doing this and this and this, right? Like I'm that guy, right? There's stuff in Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. I have no idea how they got it shot. I have none. I still don't. I don't get it. I don't understand how on earth they didn't get arrested. Legitimately, there's stuff where I'm just like, I have no clue. Even the copyright parts of it, I'm like, how is this legal? how are they getting away with this? I have no idea. It's a legit magic trick of a movie in a way that I haven't. The last time I really felt that way about a movie was probably like Mad Max Fury Road, where I kept being like, how did they get this made? Like, how do you shoot this realistically? You know, but it never loses its like grungy underground artist element. It feels like an indie in every way, but is also like a spectacle just in the fact that I have no idea how they pulled it off. Just none. And it also has one of the best jokes ever that involves the hangover that I think about on a daily basis. Anyways, 10 out of 10 movie.
Yeah,
Legitimately could be my movie of the year by the end of the year. It would not surprise me. Yeah.
yeah. So I can only say from my perspective, I'm with you in terms of my sentimental value only played the first day, and I came like I think I came like the night of the first day,
Yeah.
and so I totally missed it. But I love that movie too. Nirvana I missed as well. What's really interesting is I know people loved it, but I feel like this has gone like global. Every film person's talking about Nirvana, and you have to see Nirvana. Like it's really exploded more than I think I felt at TIFF. Unfortunately, it is not playing around me. I literally
Oh,
am
the
checking like
distribution
uh,
for it sucked. I don't know what happened there. It's really rough.
do you
Yeah.
think they're scared for the copyright thing? I don't know that I'm
No,
hearing
they've got it
about.
cleared up. That's the thing. They've got it cleared. Because so the movie was supposed to come out like 6, 7 months ago. Six,
Mhm.
seven. So sorry. But then they had to delay the release because of what there is a scene that involves them playing a direct piece of music from Back to the Future, and Universal was like, we don't love that. Um, so their whole you can actually look into it. They do play pieces of scores from different movies in this movie outside of that scene, and they do throughout the show as well. So like the first episode of the show, there's like Jurassic Park music in it and clips from Jurassic Park. Um, they're able to get away with it because of the fair use law. They're they're making these things transformative in a way where they're having to use this in a completely different context than it was originally distributed as. And if you do that, you can actually use copyrighted materials in your movie. Now, mostly the fair use clause is used for like parody and satire. It's like why SNL can like comment on like whatever they want to do and use any sort of copyrighted character because they are transforming it. Or it's been a big thing for YouTube for a long time with like movie reviewers reviewing movies. Like that's a transformative way to use that trademark brand. But they're using it in narrative, uh, in a way to be like, look, we're talking about Jurassic Park, but this has nothing to do with dinosaurs. This has to do with us getting a show, right?
Mhm.
A specific scene. This is a branching point. Sorry, I'm rambling, but the specific scene in this movie involves a piece of the Back to the Future music score, and it is directly them being like, "We're going to go back in time," and that's where Universal was like, "Well, look, how transformative is that? Or are you just knocking us off?" You know. And so that was a because the movie itself is kind of just the structure of a Back to the Future movie, which is fascinating. But I guess Neon ended up picking up the rights to distribute the movie and pretty much paid off Universal what they wanted as a share. So I believe that's fine. I don't think they're going to get in trouble for it.
Yeah, and it's already out, so
Yeah, it's in the world. But it's just
yeah.
again, it's one of those things where like because I from what I've heard, that's what it's like. It's a little more complicated than what I explained. I'm sure. Um, But it's one of those things where it's like I don't even know how they got away with it. And also like how daring is that they did that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely being transgressive in a cool way.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And I hope this works well for Matt and his Anthony Bourdain biopic that's coming this year from A24. Like, and I saw Jay's composing the score as well, which is super cool. I don't even know these guys like super well, but like I love their friendship, you know.
Yeah, they've been friends since like elementary school and they're still making stuff together. It's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Very nice. And he's like Jay's also like in his other movies too, like the Dirties
Yeah.
stuff. Anyway.
I will be refreshing my theater listings as we get closer to Friday. Maybe they'll get it this weekend.
Like, come on, please, y'all.
Yeah.
Help Jared out.
Yes, please.
You should directly DM Matt Johnson.
Hey, can you come to at least Fresno?
Well, we were mentioned in iCarly. Can you? Let's see. Another movie I wanted to briefly mention is Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. New Gore Verbinski movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Just because I really liked it. And people should go see it. It's just weird, bonkers, anti-AI, anti-capitalist movie made by Gore Verbinski, the man who made Pirates of the Caribbean. And I believe it's going to be one of those movies that like people discover later on streaming and go, guys, what? This movie got made?
Yeah.
This I stumbled upon this at 2 a.m. and I feel like I just tripped, you know? Like,
Yeah.
it's really interesting and it's filled with ideas and it's not perfect whatsoever and it is kind of all over the place, but like ever since I watched it, there's parts of it that I think about a lot. There is the movie is kind of separated into different stories and bits. There's a lot of flashbacks between characters that are in the situation. One of the characters is played by Juno Temple from Ted Lasso fame.
Heck yeah.
And she has a plot line involving the way that she grieves a son after a school shooting that is legitimately one of the most like audacious things I've seen a movie tried to accomplish in a while. Like I was just like, how are they making this? How did somebody pay for this?
I'm so hyped. Unfortunately, because like on Sunday I was like, oh, I have time to finally see a movie, especially after my vacation. And it was gone from all my theaters around me. So I saw How to Make a Killing, and that was fine. I had fun. Glenn Powell is a movie star. Loved his performance. But yeah, I feel like I would have liked Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die a little more. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what like I think on Blank Check they call a movie like How to Make a Killing. Like, that was like a self-assured. Oh no, sorry, that was like a Gentleman Six. They'll always say that.
Oh yeah.
The Gentleman Six. You know, like completely average batting, had a good time. Will not think about it this time next year. Movie. You know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But the thing I noticed about that movie, really good cinematography. It looks like it's on film.
It was good, yeah. There's a shot of like Margaret Qualley is in Glenn Powell's house and like she's like slowly going up against like there's a shot like from the foreground, like she's getting close to him, but then the doorbell rings and so then it's a faraway shot of them together. I don't know if I'm describing well enough. That was like really well done. Yeah, anyways.
Yeah, no. I the biggest issue with that movie is like it has clever ideas in the screenplay, but like in execution is feels really clunky.
Yeah.
The
Like
overbearing narration at the beginning, I was like, what are we doing here? We don't need this. Like you do not need that whatsoever. It's the start of the movie.
mhm.
It's Glenn Powell literally going, isn't it crazy how I got here? My name's yada yada. I'm a guy who had to kill my relative or whatever. Like he just explains, and this is like we're done with this type of narration. It's 2026, guys.
And the weird like Ed Harris part where it turns to Ready or Not out of the blue, like
Oh yeah, that was bizarre. Yeah. Um, I thought the church one was funny, like the mega pastor one.
oh yeah,
That was
where
funny, but like they could have gone even bigger with that. I think.
and Topher Grace dressing like 2011 Justin Bieber, like
Yeah, it was good.
yeah.
Yeah. Those are some movies that we saw recently. Is there anything else you want to shout out, Jared?
Yeah, it's our February. Oh, in the blink of an eye,
Yeah.
I was hyping this up last episode. Yeah, I never want to say like this is why it was sent to Hulu, but I could see why. I wish it went grander. Um, but yeah, I still want your thoughts on it because like half of the movie is Neanderthals in a foreign language, which I thought was a risk. I kind of wish this would have been a Pixar movie. I think it would have been cool to see animated because then we cut to like the present day story isn't well done. I didn't like Rashida Jones, and Kate McKinnon does her best in the future storyline, but I felt like it was dry and like the emotional beats didn't hit. So I was a little disappointed, but I guess the writing was on the walls with the Hulu release. Um, but yeah, if you were interested, because I mean, there's a lot with the cast and crew. Check it out. You might have a different opinion. Yeah,
Yeah, I still want to see it. It's just weird that it like got so buried. No one's talking about it. It's made no. It's like a movie that doesn't exist, and it's like this is the guy who made Wall-E. How does this movie not exist?
yeah.
Yeah.
I do wonder. I think it'll be funny if like people are like, Toy Story 5, wow, a great hit over the summer. They're like, what has this guy been up to? Enter in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, and then they see it and they're like, "What was this?"
Yeah. I do feel like there's gonna be like one guy that finds it like in 10 years and it's like, guys, this movie's actually really deep.
Yeah, they'll get a Cloud Atlas type of resurgence later on
Yeah.
or something. I don't know. Yeah, I'll check it out soon.
Mhm.
I'll report back in a future episode if In a Blink of an Eye is worth your watch, in my
Yeah.
opinion, at least. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think that about does it for today.
Yeah, sounds good. A little February recap.
Yeah, absolutely. Comment below. Let us know your thoughts. Smash that subscribe button.
Hmm.
Oh, I guess we'll see you guys in the next podcast.
Yeah. Also exciting stuff on the horizon. I think in terms of movies, yeah.
Hoppers. Go see-
Bro, the hype is real. I'm scared, but I'm ready.
Yeah. I'm scared because it's gonna change my life too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. See you guys later.
See ya.